All right. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blends hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building, and this is One-on-One with Deuces, the place where I speak with creators, curators, and people that you should know. And right now, man, I'm speaking with, I'm going to call him one of the it guys, because if you watch Jupiter's Legacy on Netflix, I'm speaking with the Flair himself. I am speaking with the homie Mike Wade. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm happy to be here. How you doing?
Man, doing great, trying to continue to create some content and just kind of just talk to people that I think that is going to be really, very dope as a guest, right? Okay. And so as I was watching Jupiter's Legacy, I was like, okay, I definitely want to talk with bro, because I'm like, one, to see a black actor, or just a black superhero is always a moment, especially with the way that the tides are changing and everything. So I wanted to get, from you, what was your first reaction to getting the role, getting the role?
Oh, man. I guess the dream come true kind of comes to me because, I wasn't so into comic books as I got older, but I definitely was into them when I was younger. And Superman, hands down, my favorite superhero, you know what I mean? Because the brother could fly, right? And he gets his power from the sun. But, so, yeah, man, I just really thought that that first script was great. And when my agent called me and told me I got it, man, I almost fell off the treadmill because I was at the gym. Running. And I heard him and I heard my manager on the phone. So I was like, something's up. And they told me I got it, man. And it was just a seriously 100% great experience. Because Mark Miller, he does some great work.
Yeah, and that's it's funny because you said you was on the treadmill running, so it's like you already training for your superhero power.
bro, to tell you the truth, man, long before I got that even the opportunity, to audition for it, I just kind of sat there and thought, like, what do I want to do next? And to play a hero, to play a superhero. So I was like, well, let me make sure I look like that. And for I don't know however many months I was doing that. Then I got the call, so. I kind of was prepared for it before, man. Yeah.
What's funny also because when I was looking at it, so every time I start seeing actors, I start thinking like, man, I wonder who they can portray, right? And this somebody that I think that you can portray, but I think that you're a little bit too jacked to portray them now. But I feel like if there was ever a Kid Cudi biopic, you would be for it.
Man, I get that a lot, man.
Okay, I take it you heard.
I get that a lot, yeah.
Have you ever met Kid?
Well, have I ever met him?
Yeah.
No, I never met him, man, but I'm definitely a fan of his music.
Yeah.
He's definitely a different type of artist, so I dig that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you coming from Cali, you have a lot of like the way that the music has shifted now. Like the Cali sound is so vibrant in music right now. And I know that you gotta love that being born a Cali native and everything.
Yeah, I'm from LA, man. So I love I've always loved obviously hip hop, but West Coast hip hop, just to see people getting their due and obviously Snoop. I love his longevity and the smoothness to him. And man, it's just beautiful with Kendrick and everybody and so many cats doing their thing. So
did you ever dabble in that?
Oh, rapping? No, man. Just whatever I hear on the radio, I try to keep along the Pac, right? Or Cube or whoever's on the radio. But no, I never really did that, man. Yeah.
So in this, we also always try to get what I call everybody's origin stories. Now, I know that you caught the acting bug in college. You took some acting classes, but I want to get from the start, I guess, what even made you take the acting class and what part grabbed you to kind of get you into I want to do this?
It's funny you mentioned that, man, because there's a college part, but then it started way earlier than that. And then looking back over your life, you start to kind of think about some things, more consciously, because, obviously our subconscious mind or stuff that we're not really thinking about kind of drives us. But in recent years, I've been starting to think, well, what really made me, get into it? And I'll get into that in a second. But the more recent part was, I was studying psychology in college. And one of my buddies was like, let's get these 2 acting classes, man. We're seniors. It'll be an easy A. And I was like, man, I don't want to be around actors. Actors are weird. But I got up in there, man. I just loved it. And really, so me saying weird, it was, I recognized that they express themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, being this is ideas about masculinity and all that, but being a man, being a Black man, you got to like hold everything in. I just saw the power of expressing yourself.
Yep.
From being in acting class, I was a lot more understanding and open-minded to other people. And it really changed me as a person for the better. But taking it back when I was, you know, younger, used to go to the YMCA, you know, until mom would get off of work. And we would do skits. Anytime I was in class and we had a project to do and people were too scared to talk or, you know, to act something out, I was first one to raise my hand, you know, let's do it. And then, so what I mentioned when you first asked me this, I think another origin, man, was John Singleton, bro.
Okay.
Because, you know, not to get, you know, on the sad tip, but when I was about 7, my pops got killed. And, you know, LA at the time is kind of was going on, man. And I remember my mom sent me down watching, you know, watch Boys in the Hood, because it kind of reflected where we was at. You know, we was more in the South Central Inglewood area. And, you know, she was raising me as, you know, just me and her for a little bit. And I think, you know, as a little boy, it's not on the forefront of my mind, but it had an effect on me. And, you know, you have the cautionary tale. You got some brothers that don't make it out. You got some brothers who, you know, you remember Trey, who I kind of would see myself as in the film. That's who I identify with, who actually did make it out. He came real close to, you know, being stuck there if he would have made certain decisions, but he got out. And so I think it's the influence of film like Boys in the Hood. That's probably a big part of it that I wasn't really conscious of until recent years.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. And, you know, it's when you start thinking about some of that, because like when I, you know, I gave you our intro before we started the full interview. My start, I used to suppress a lot of the geek world, like that. I was comic books, into anime, video games, but, you know, coming from the places that we come from, that's not always looked at as cool. So you suppress. Right. And then as I, you know, got older and I started, you know, saying, you know what can I passionately talk about? And then start staking that claim, like, you know what, I'm going to change the narrative. Like, you know, Black people can be a part of this culture and still be cool. And, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because like I equate it to barbershop talk. I often tell people, like, the way that, you know what I'm saying, the way that people talk about Batman and Superman, you would swear they're debating Jordan and LeBron. Like, that's
right.
But that's what we bring to it. And so I was like, I want to bring that. I want people to see that, like, no, this is how we talk about Batman and Superman. And, you know, so it's one of those things that I was like, I'm not going to hide that anymore. But then I wear that proud, like that blurred tag. I wear it proud. Like, yes, I am a Black nerd, Black geek, whatever you want to call it. I'm a part of that. But let me tell you how dope it is. And I'm just going to live in this world. And I think that's why, you know, when you have those times where you can reflect back on it and start kind of creating your origin story or your life, you start seeing like, oh, a lot of this stuff has always been a part of me. Now I'm just putting it towards how I got here. And I
absolutely.
And that's, you know, that kind of goes into like, you know, I do my research and I was looking into it. So your first digital imprint, I guess, as far as your first tweet that I saw that you posted was something about the like science. It was about them trying to find a cure for mosquito diseases, right? That was your first like retweet ever.
Wow, okay.
And the next one was Barack Obama speaking. And so as I started looking, I said, man, you are very in touch with, like, you know, the Black community, what's going on. You are championing Black women. You are, you know, with Black people are speaking up. Like, and to me, that's all like that. When I look at actors doing that, I said it makes sense, because as an actor, the roles that you're doing is really just you know, expressing something. Like, you are taking that character, get that voice, that character's voice is going to be heard and everything. And so, like, in Jupiter's Legacy, the big thing, you know, Black father, that was a huge theme of the Flair, and, you know, and his daughter within there. Did you and Tanika, did you guys like, how did you guys build that chemistry?
Man, you know, we just kind of from talking, you know, she's just a beautiful person, you know, inside and out. And that's why I was telling her, I was like, man, you know, because I don't have any children, but also I feel like people could create something, people could cure diseases, but I think being a parent, like, it's like one of the dopest things you can do.
Yeah.
You know, so I carry that with me for a while, you know. And like I said, I don't have any children, but for some reason, I feel like I would have a daughter anyway.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like a lot of that work was already, you know, there. And she's just this bright light. And so we just connected, man, just, you know, talked and shared some of our personal stories, you know what I mean? Like kind of what I shared with you.
Yep.
She shared some of hers and we just connected, man. Just, it's like a kind of a natural chemistry. Yeah. So
how the process of you of them aging you and turning you old. How was that process?
Man, you know, how long did that take? That took maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
But also, I think the harder part was getting it off at the end of the night. So we worked this day, you know, into the night, however long, and then they got to get the stuff off of me. You know what I mean? Because it's scarring here, it's scarring on my hand. And then so no matter how much they would get off, you know, I'm sitting in a chair. All right, I think we finally got it. No matter how many hot towels they gave me, you know, all right, I think we got it. I'm in the shower. I'm like, man, I still got little pieces in my fro, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, the taking it off for me was the harder part, because that's the part that I had to participate in when I'm at home taking a shower. But you know, then putting everything on, man, especially as time went on, it just was even quicker and quicker with it. So
yeah, because the bus that you have posted. You said that you fell asleep. You was getting some good Z's in that bus.
I did.
Was that of the hero part or of the older version of you?
I think that was just all around, because what they would do with that would like put like, you know, maybe different wigs on it, try different things on it, and yeah. But yeah, I straight went to sleep, man. It was there was another part that I did a different production, and I was, you know, my character died. I was in a coffin. I fell asleep in there too, man. I'm cool with that.
I always wondered that, because I always figure like, okay, either they're using like a dummy or something like that, or that they do the bust. I didn't know that they actually have you guys laying in there.
Oh yeah, for the coffin, for this other TV show. Obviously, you know, first time being in a coffin. I was like, man, this joint is comfortable, man. Like, so they're doing the funeral service, and I'm like, kind of, you know, snoring a little bit. But yeah, I guess I'm cool with tight spaces like that. So
are you one of those people that can sleep anywhere? Like,
I really think that I can, man. Like, when it's time for me to go to sleep, I'm good.
Because I used to have a guy that like, yeah, we'll be in the movie theater, and if the movie theater is not, he knocked out, like we'll go to sleep anywhere. I'm just like, bro, like I can't do that. I can't just fall asleep I gotta be completely comfortable in a setting that I feel comfortable. I just can't be sleeping anywhere.
well, not in the movies, but yeah, on the set, I was good, man. I mean, yeah.
So prior to getting this role, because technically he was what, flight, speed, and then he can kind of shoot things out of his hands. What was that ever like? What was the powers that before you got this role that you was like, if I can get superpowers, I would want this power?
Fly.
Hands
down, I ain't got to think about it. Yeah, I mean, because like I said, a big Superman fan, always want to, you know, to do that. And yeah, man, it's the gift of flight is be dope to me. You know what I mean? To be able to fly, it's amazing.
So what was the biggest thing that you took away from the whole series? Like that, the whole process, the series, like it's just as far as you as, you know, acting and just in general, what did you take from the series?
Man, it's a lot, man. The first thing that comes to mind for me is that I got to do so many of the things I love to do as an actor. You know, I got to be a father. I got to be a doctor. I got to, you know, be a superhero, and also touch a little bit on, you know, back in 1929, early 1930s, what, you know, a Black person would be going through, you know? So yeah, that I really love. So, do all those things.
It was such, because I'm like, he ain't gonna go, because you was upset. You was like, man, what are you?
Yeah, hey, man, hey, it wasn't no way I'm getting on a boat with them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because you also think about this culturally, we different. You know what I'm saying? It's just me, and I'm out here with y'all. You know,
we talk about that often. It was like time travel for a Black person is different, because we can't go too far back. We can't.
We go
too far back. It's a problem.
Yeah, matter of fact, my first TV gig, man, was a show called Timeless, and they did time travel. Yep. But so the brother who was on there, Malcolm Barrett, he came back to, right when the Civil War was in, like about with Lincoln and all that. And I was one of the, Union soldiers. So, yeah, I mean, you think about it, man, for a lot of people, it seems so cool. But for us, man, it's like, well, you might not want to go back to that time period because I might have to be dealing with some extra things that y'all don't have to deal with, right? So.
Did they let you keep the suit?
Man, you know what? They should, because that joint was tailored for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like everything, man, was tailored for it. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll send it to me. I don't know.
Because so now that with the show and everything, I mean, you're a part of that lore. Have you been hitting cons and everything yet with that? Like, as far as just.
Yeah, we did. Man, we've been doing interviews since even when we were about to wrap up. When we were filming different comic book publications, definitely did a bunch of interviews, right before the show came out. I mean, it's just like a huge list, man. I really just lost count, and I was loving every minute of it. But yeah, after a while, I was like, dang. But the thing is, obviously with COVID, we couldn't be there. So a lot of it was just, at home or somewhere where you have Wi-Fi, you can just, talk to people. So.
I know also what has to be surreal is that with this being within that comic book lore, you're getting all of the fan art too now.
Yeah,
it's gotta be super dope. Like,
man, it is, man. Even so we were doing like ADR stuff, like when you do like the voice stuff, like right when they're wrapping it up, and I had to pick my jaw up off the floor because of the opening titles, man. When you see the flare. Say in the suit, and then you see the wheelchair too, and it's like, man, it's just so much dope art that's come out of this, and I know it's only going to continue.
Yeah, no, that's for life. That's the one thing about comic book culture. This whole geek culture is that once you're in it, And what's dope is because you were the first visual, like live action portrayal of it. Now you are the bar, meaning that if a readaptation of it or anything like that, people are going to measure it to how great that you guys did within that role, and to me that's always dope when you get to be there first, because now you're really just you're basing it off of the source material, but you do get that freedom of, okay, I'm going to represent this. This is what people are going to immediately identify with, no matter what. They're going to immediately see you as the Flair, and I think that's dope because now you're in there for life, man.
Yeah, and just touching back on what you talked about before, just like as Black folks, we are all kind of things, but not just one thing. You know what I mean? So like you talked about being blurred, and I love it too, man. I love being a nerd. I love that I'm into books and geeky stuff, and maybe not as much as other people, but it's just wearing that as a badge of honor versus when you're younger. Like, oh, you want to read? It's like, what's the matter with you? It's like, brother, I'm in school. Like, we're here to learn. You know what I mean? And when you look at the history, how we weren't allowed to, or our facilities weren't up to par. So it's like we really gotta just really embrace that, man, because we are bright people. So yeah.
And that's the biggest thing of it, and that's why we created like this culture thing that it's called Geek, right? Because we're changing the narrative of it. Because the thing about it is, a geek doesn't always have to be anime, comic books, video game. To me, if somebody can go a little bit in depth about something that the normal person don't go, they're a geek about that. So like when we watch like sportscasters, they are sports geeks because they say things that you like, I didn't even look at all that. I just thought it was a good game. Same thing with actors, like the way that you guys break down characters and what you guys do. You guys are geeks about that craft of acting. And so we're trying to change that narrative. Like, no, the geek is not just the, Poindexter guy with the glass. Like, no, the geek is somebody like, if I can dive deep into, about anime, comic books, video games, movies, whatever, I'm a geek about that. And that's what we say about that. So like, that's where we're changing that whole narrative.
That's it.
What was
I was just gonna add, man, our trainer, who's also a break dancer, but he's been doing this. He's a dancer, but he's been doing physical training for at least 10 years. He would geek out, you know what I mean? Because I would say, oh man, my shoulder is a little, this and that. And he would just like go into it. I was like, okay, this brother loves what he does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the key right there, is loving what you do. And then you get lost in it and time is just flying. And, that's how you create something beautiful.
Yeah. And so I kind of want to kind of bridge into you saying how you can, we can be anything. So another aspect that you do, like you play a lot of military people. Specifically right now in SEAL team, you are in Lieutenant Soto, right? How, how's the process of that? Like, getting into that military?
Oh, bro. Well, I guess the first thing I want to say, I'm glad you brought that up, is just because, I'm all about inspiration, man. So I'm very grateful to be at the point that I'm at now. But I also remember when I wasn't. And I would watch people's interviews and, try to pick up something that I could learn. So for SEAL team, man, and I've been enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. But what I want people to know, especially actors, but whatever they do, if you pursuing a goal, man, I auditioned for that show over the years a bunch of times. A bunch of times, bro. And I always like the dialogue, always like, the writing and all that. It stuck with me pretty quick, even like the military jargon. I'm not in the military. So, but as an actor, you need to say it like you say it all the time. Like it needs to flow like how me and you talking. Yeah. So I'm auditioning for it. My agent, my manager, oh, we think you got this one. Right. And I'm not getting them. I got this one. And now I see why I didn't get those other ones. Because this one is hands down better than anything that I've gone in for this show. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the type of thing for people to keep the faith and stay focused on why you're doing it, stay focused on the love, and then whatever's meant for you is going to be yours. You know what I'm saying? Now that I got that aside, bro, it's been fun. We've been blowing stuff up, right, shooting, all kinds of stuff. I'm shooting people out, all that. In life, people are, oh man, Mike's a nice guy, but with Lieutenant Soto, it's a little bit of friction, a little bit of friction between me and the main dude. But it's been fun, man, because my character brings that reality to the show. So former operators and former SEALs, they say, yeah, man, this is what it's like. Mm-hmm. He said, so you got like your team leader, which would be Bravo 1, and he's like, yeah, my commanding officer was a dude about your age, didn't have half the experience, right? But he's like, he's my officer, and so I also was connected to some other guys who did the job, and they let me know how it ran. And yeah, man, it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. The one thing that I like about the show, just looking around it and everything, like a lot of people that were actually in the military, they actually hold this show into a high regard. And I know that is always important when you're doing something, when you're portraying something that is a real culture, something that is, that people take to heart, to get that nod of approval, like that it got to give you extra confidence when you're on that set.
Oh, absolutely, man. So when I was on, being on the set, the producers who, like I said, who were former SEALs, they're like, man, you're doing a great job at this. And that was it for me. Also, too, some of the, fans online, because, a lot of people didn't really like Soto at first. But
you understand why, but
I do. I definitely, and I get it. But Soto's also necessary. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was a fine line, because there were times when, the main guy, Bravo, wanted to engage with the enemy. Mm-hmm. But Soto was there to make sure all the things were, checks and balances. Let's make sure that these people are armed first. Let's make sure that these guys are who they're supposed to be, because there are rules of engagement. Yeah. People who actually serve, they appreciate the job that's being done. And for me as an actor, man, whether it's about, show or movie about Navy SEALs or whatever it might be, people who actually lived it and getting something from it, that's the reason that I do it. Yeah. That's the whole reason why I do it, man. Yeah.
And that's, like, again, it goes back to representation, and that's why I got such a high regard for actors, man. I know, there's people that when they look at actors, like, oh, I can do that. I just get in front of the TV. Like, no, like, because there's different layers to it. Like, yes, you probably can get in front of a camera and act something out, but is it going to be represented the right way? Are the people that are involved or the people that you are portraying on that culture, are they going to like it or are you going to make a mockery of it? You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the things I saw when I was looking at it. Like a lot of people, some of the people who don't like Soto was people who was in the military because you reminded them of somebody.
Yeah, yeah, or some people who ain't never been in a firefight. Oh yeah, Soto was scared. How you gonna be if bullets whizzing past your head and you outnumbered? Come on now. You go, yeah, it's gonna be fear, but you know what I'm saying, you're courageous in the face of it. And on top of that, Soto's younger, doesn't have much experience. So, you know, but there's always gonna be those opinions and things like that. And you know, I don't get too far into them, but I do appreciate when people get something from the work, because like I said, that's the whole reason I'm doing it, man. As an actor, there's too many years when you tighten in your belt, you know, trying to you know, scrounge change together for it to be about money. The money comes, it's good, but for me, it's about affecting people in a positive way, telling people stories who, you know, maybe don't necessarily feel that they have a voice. That right there, man, has paid me time and time again. That's the reason I do it.
Do you on set? Because I've heard in certain sets when there's things like this, so that way they don't lose character, you stay doing, like, whether it's like the accent or whatever the case may be. And this set, do you guys, when it's like not taken, do you continue to talk military jargon so that way it continue to go?
No, you know, it depends. Some people are a little bit more lax. I find myself, I somewhat kind of stay in that realm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Some of the things that the character would do, you know, getting up early, kind of, you know, just staying in it. You know, like obviously I'm still myself, but I kind of do stick with it. Like there's like maybe a certain walk that the character has, or a certain frame of mind. I've noticed that I do stick with it. Yeah.
And it definitely helps out because you got to think about it. Like you said, you was already working out because you kind of had an idea on what you want to do as far as, you know, the role that you want to take. So then once you adapt the military mindset of, okay, you got to wake up early, you know what I'm saying? Got to eat a balanced breakfast, get out there and do my workout. Like it kind of already fit into your lifestyle. So it's just kind of a little extra discipline and everything.
Yeah, it does, man. And then also just with that kind of soldier mentality, what I've learned too is, well, yeah, for like a Navy SEAL, they go through BUDS, that's their training, and you're gonna fail. What they teach you is you can do everything right. Something still doesn't go right, you still fail. The point at that moment is pick yourself up and keep going. Don't sit there and wallow. Oh man, I can't. There's no time to not believe this, to believe that people are shooting at you. Yeah. Assess the situation, move forward. You know what I mean? Don't get in your emotions, none of that. So it's been really helpful. I mean, just in life, you know, because that's where you win or you lose. We all are going to face failure at some point. But do you sit there or do you get up, dust yourself off, keep going? That's how you win. That's it right there.
Did I forget the clacker out there? I'm just gonna clap.
You had brought it too.
I know, I'm just gonna clap.
I'm mad because I was definitely expecting you to get it.
I mean, I could quickly go grab it.
Just clap. 1, 2, 3.
All right, man. Welcome back to the Geekset podcast, the only podcast that blend hip-hop culture and geek culture together. I'm your boy Deuces in the building. With me, I got my man Liv.
What up? It's Liberace. It's the Puerto Rican Santa. The spiccato playing, beat making, motherfucking legendary ass Puerto Rican.
Sofrito Papi, and we back.
As always, I got my man Bacardi in the building.
Randolph today.
Konnichiwa, bitches. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. I hate all of this.
I hate all of it.
What's good, everybody? How we doing today?
And we got Didge in the building.
What is happening, people?
What's happening, people?
What is happening, people? What is happening, people?
He's out the booth.
But it's like I said, we are expanding. We are doing more. So they say make sure you go to youtube.com/Geekset.
Follow us on all social media at Geekset Podcast on every social media. And rating reviews in, man. We are rating reviewers on Facebook, rating reviewers on Apple iTunes, rating reviewers on Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever platform you're looking at. Give us some ratings, let us know. And then again, this is the only podcast that blend hip hop culture and geek culture together. We are out.
Peace.
No, it's funny because like I will say, so I started doing these interviews last year, and one of the things that a lot of my peers will, who see me doing this podcast and doing these interviews, they always ask like, man, how do you be getting these people? How do you be getting these people? And I said, if you seen the amount of no's I got, because that's the first thing they say. They're like, oh man, I want, they'll reach out to like 5 people, and every one of them say no, and then they'll stop. I'm like, bro, here at this point where I'm at, like I shoot my shot. I shoot my interview shot listen to the highest power. But here's I always take like the light of it. So like literally like and pretty much all Black actors, like I found how to find the representation of people. I know how to reach the right people, right? So I'm like, I'm just gonna reach out. I don't care how big they are. I'm gonna reach out. I'm gonna send them my pitch. I'm gonna let them know who we are. And when I'm getting no's, there's a lot of people that I've gotten no's, big name people. But the way what I think of it is, I'm like, okay, they said no, but of course I'm gonna keep it cordial. But you know what? At least they know my name and my platform now.
Absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? Did I reach out to Samuel L. Jackson people? You're damn right I did. Of course they said no, but guess what? Samuel L. Jackson people know Geekset and Deuces now. So,
absolutely.
And even though we may be small now, if anything populates or blow up, and then he be like, hey, I want to get with them. They're like, oh yeah, they did reach out. Now it's like it's one of those things. So I tell people all the time, like, you got to keep going. I was like, I'm reaching out to everybody as I can who got a dope story, who I think deserves to be on the platform, right? And I said, I'm going to reach out and I'm going to make sure, I'm going to do the research. I'm going to make sure my interviews are good. Because you know what? I may only got 1,000 views on this interview now, but when the one blows up and then everybody starts going back watching the content, people going to realize like, whoa, this guy's doing his research. He's doing really good interviews. I'm going to make sure that is there because, again, that's my mindset. Like, you know what? That no is not going to stop me. That no is temporary. That's how I look at it. They're saying no now. I'm going to get a yes eventually at one point. So let me just keep on going and I'm going to make it make sense. I'm going to keep on building this platform up so where now you got to. Now, next time you're on a show or on a big Marvel or DC movie, they're going to be like, okay, we got to do Leno. I mean, we got to do Conan. We got to do Geekset. Like, it's going to be that. That's my mindset with everything with that. So, I like that military mindset of pick yourself up in that situation and go.
Yeah, and what my mom now says, what my grandmother used to say, because she taught it to her, nothing beats a failure but a try. Mm-hmm. And you go for it. The most they can do is say no. I looked at your stuff and you're very professional. So that was my reason for wanting to do it. I enjoyed your interview. Like I told you, I saw the joint with Javon. Yeah. And I actually worked with the dude who did Wade in the Water with Javon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was one of the reasons I watched Javon. So I was like, let me see check this dude out because I saw his work with him and David. But yeah, man, whatever it is that we want to do in life, man, you guys go for it. You're going to get some no's. But you know what? Along the way, you learn things. Yeah. And then that's when you get to your yes. But if you let rejection stop you, then you ain't going to do nothing. I mean, as an actor, you get rejected all the time. I hear this. But see, this is the thing, though. This is the thing. It's one thing to hear a no, because sometimes I hear a no. Oh, we went this way because of da. Most of the time you don't hear nothing. Yeah. A couple weeks go by. What will happen? You don't hear nothing. I guess that's what that means. Right. But at the same time, sometimes a couple weeks go by. You're like, I guess I didn't get that. And you get that call. I've had that happen. Matter of fact, I think the first project was a film that I booked with my agent was like that. I was like, oh man, I wonder, I guess I didn't get it. Yeah. Next thing I know, I got that call and I booked it. So you just got to go for it, man. And if you want to do it, you'll find a way. If you don't want to do it, then you'll find an excuse. Yeah. And, gotta go for what you want in life.
Dope. All right, so we got a few fan questions and things like that. But one of the things that I also wanted to ask about, again, outside of acting, what are something else that you geek out about? Like something that you go in on?
I don't know if I could say that I geek out about it, but one thing I'm really enthusiastic about is like that we're exploring space so much. You know, that Elon is reusing rockets, bro. Yeah. That's amazing. And then that Bezos with his company is doing the same. And Virgin Galactic, they're doing the same for space tourism. I think that's amazing, man. We'll be living on other planets at some point. And that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not saying I know that much about it.
Right, but still.
But I think it's amazing. And the other thing about it is the overview effect. So that's when somebody's out in space and they're looking at the Earth, and it just changes your perspective on life because you're looking at the literal bigger picture. Yeah. And they say it changes how you see things. I think that's a big part of it too, because I'm really big on mindset. Another thing I saw you talk to Jovan about was like the self-help stuff. And what that translates to me is I know that the mind is very powerful, and the things that we think and how we set out to do things. So that's why I think that overview effect stands out to me.
Yeah, and when you think about it, because like where we're at right now, you look up, the world is huge already. You look up. So when you're in space, or if you have that opportunity to be up there and look at the world, you're seeing the world, but then there's endless around you. And that's that perspective that you talk about, because then you're like, wait, the world is huge to me, like massively huge. Like I don't even know that I can see every aspect of this world in my lifetime. Now, I'm seeing the world in its whole, visually, personally. That got to be a crazy, just like astronauts. That just got to be their perspective has to be crazy.
Well, yeah, it has to be somewhat mind blowing, and also like kind of what I touched on with acting and what you just said right now. The world is so big, so it's not just about your perspective. Yeah, it's about these other perspectives and celebrating that and finding ways for us to come together in unity versus, oh, we're different than that group, so we gotta, there's gotta be conflict or friction there. It doesn't have to be, man. The world is so big, the universe is so big. It's just, I don't know why, I guess it just makes me feel, I don't know if hopeful is a word, that I'm looking for, but yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Do you have a dream role? Like, do you have like a Moby Dick role that you're like, if I would love to portray this person or do this type of role or anything like that?
Man, I feel like I've done a few of them already because of the superhero thing, Navy SEAL. So I would want to do more of that, but I guess I'm just trying to check off the list of things that Denzel has done. So that would be it. So I would think like a John Q or a Pursuit of Happiness type of thing. Something that uplifts and inspires people, because actually Pursuit of Happiness, that's one of the reasons why I'm acting.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up because I saw you posted the clip a while back and everything.
Yeah, that movie right there, man, and the book as well. I remember sitting in that movie theater. This is back when I'm first, about to get into it, or maybe building the courage to do it. I'm sitting in the movie theater by myself, and I'm like, man, if this brother could do this, I could go towards my goal too. I could, achieve my dream too. And that was one of the big things that made me just say, all right, just go for it,
That's dope. Yeah. And because that was I was going to get into, was like, who are your influences as far as like, just in general, that kind of, it doesn't only have to be actors, but like, what are some of your influences that kind of helps you, that drives you or keeps you going?
Man, it's a lot of people. I mean, a lot of them are actors. The first one, speaking of Denzel, even before I decided that I wanted to act when I was younger, when I would watch his movies, man, I just wanted to do the right thing. Yeah. Like, that was it. And it also helped me to see that that's one of the reasons why I'm interested in acting, because just that influence. Yeah. You may not ever meet nobody. You may not meet these people who are watching your film, but they are influenced by what they saw you do on the TV show and the film. And to me, that's my contribution to society. It's just influence, something as simple as that, something that people don't really think about. So yeah, I mean, and the list just goes on, man. Will Smith, just so many people who've achieved so much. Meryl Streep, she's great at every role that she does. Viola Davis, Alfred Woodard, even somebody else, man, is I don't know if you've heard of Jessica Alba, the actress. Yeah, so this is how she's my inspiration, because first of all, she's built her career as an actor, but before acting paid the bills, I was unloading trucks, man. Loading, unloading trucks, in distribution. And every once in a while, I see a box from the Honest Company. And I was like, okay, I see you. You know what I mean? So that's her company.
Her company.
And so knowing that, it helped me to keep my mind on what I wanted versus just on what was in front of me, which is a full truck, a truck full of boxes, heavy boxes that I had to unload. So I find inspiration in a lot of places, man. It's always great when they look like me. That's helpful. But if they don't, hey, imagine it, something. You know what I mean? Be inspired by what they're doing.
Yeah, you can still, like I said, it does help that, when they look like us, but there's always people, like even certain aspects of people's stories that you can draw influence from that makes it dope. It's like, oh, you know what? The way that this person went at this, or the way that the person built this, or whatever the case may be, you can catch that influence from it, and that, so like, it's always dope to kind of hear what drives people and everything like that. Oh, I did want to talk to you also about Old E, because that film, I thought like one, a lot of the festivals, a lot of the indie festivals, like that film was making it around the circuit and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, how was it? Because it was that probably was like your first project that was kind of like your first indie, like a project that you was a part of indie wise that started to get like so much critical acclaim and everything. Correct?
I think the first one, actually the first one was a movie that I did. It was how I got into the Actors Union.
Mm-hmm.
And it starred Danny Glover. So me and him played the same part, but I was a younger version. So yeah, that's how I got into the union.
From above.
Yeah, from above, yeah. But yeah, Old E, man, that was another one that got, man, that thing was everywhere, bro.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And it was great, man, because once again, it's that cautionary tale. You know what I mean? It's a young dude who's trying to do something positive in his life. His surroundings, weren't so positive. And he came to that critical point where he could have threw it all away, or you take control of yourself, no matter how hard it is in that moment.
Yeah. And
you walk away from the situation. Because if it could have went really bad for Deshaun, but he was able to make it out, man.
But and to me, like I said, when I do the research, when I start looking into like just actors starts and everything, I'm always interested in the roles they take the roles that they take for their path to where they, obviously you still have a lot of career still left moving forward, but like your journey has been dope. I feel like the roles that you have taken, you really took the time to select like the roles that you really wanted to go for and everything. So
I definitely. I remember. So when I got out of acting school, the head of the studio, she put in a good word for me with my manager, who's still my manager now. Yeah. And I remember one of the first things she sent me, and I read the script, and I was like, nah. wasn't really nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with it. I just was like, this dude is like not really doing much. He's just kind of there. And she's like, yeah, I'm just trying to get you into these rooms. You're new. And I was like, oh, okay. So I know she was probably like, who's this dude think he is? But, you do got to be selective, man, because, say you get a part and then they're going to offer you more of that.
Yeah.
And I remember my first year acting coach, she said, you guys better have a good reason to be here, because if not, you're going to quit. She was referring to acting school. She was referring to this business, period. And I have to have something that connects me there to why I want to learn these lines, why I want to study this character, why I want to put everything into it, because I put 100%. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be an indie film. It could have been like a student film. It could be, some big production. I'm putting 100% no matter what if I decide to do it, because like I'm giving my word, right? So yeah, man, it's, you got to be passionate about it. I'm not just doing it to be doing it. I want to be part of stories that are going to impact people in a positive way. I typically play the hero or good guy, but even if I'm playing somebody who's doing something bad, I want people to see the point. Like, I don't want to do what he did because look what happened to him. So it's because I know that we have influence with the projects that we do. So yeah, I'm going to be selective, man. I don't want to be doing something just because it's a job or because I want to work. There's work at the post office, so I gotta do. This is a gift that I have. I'm gonna exercise it.
Your first villain's bad guy role is going to have to be epic because you have played so many good guys. People, when they immediately see you, they're going to be like, oh, hey, I seen him in such and such. And so they're going to, so it got to be kind of, gotta have like that Denzel, Michael B. Jordan effect. Like when Denzel was in Training Day,
absolutely,
my aunt, like she loves Denzel. But after that movie, she kind of was like, man, like she was off Denzel.
But you know what though? Because of him being the hero so many times, what I feel is about when we saw him in Training Day, there was that trust over the years. You see what I'm saying? And that helped with, because obviously he's a great actor, but that helped with the deception that was going on. And as far as that film, his character, man, obviously there's layers. And I don't believe that he started off as that guy. I think he was probably a lot like Jake. Wanted to do the right thing, but then you like, well, if I don't take this money, one of them is gonna put one in me and say that Roger did it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and then you get more power, you get drunk off of that, power is seductive. And then next thing you know, you're robbing a neighborhood drug dealer because you lost your head, against some people that's about to take you out, So I really do love that movie, man. I thought it was great.
Layers to it, because because again, it's that deception. Because even throughout the whole movie, even though there's some twist to it, Denzel's so charismatic that like until it it's literally until it actually happens. The last like you still with Denzel a little bit.
Yeah, you still with him. You still with him, man. Until let the iron ring on him. Yeah, but and that's another thing too. I'm sure that he wanted people to see what happened to that character. You know what I mean? Because never do we want for people to think that, oh, this is cool. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, he is cool. No, it may seem cool, but look at what happens to him. Yeah, look and I have kind of done, like an indie thing where I was, not necessarily the good guy. Right. But it was something that was powerful, and it was something that people are going to get something from. But they get seduced by the stuff that looks cool, but then later they see what happens. That's what it's about, man. Once again, it's the influence.
This is going to be a two-part question. With SEAL, SEAL team, do they give you the training, like gun training and everything like that, right?
They do, yeah.
Yep. All right. So we have what we call hypotheticals on our podcast that we often do, right? And we often we revolve them around different apocalyptic situations. So I want to kind of get if a zombie outbreak with the training and everything you got now, and if the zombie outbreak happened, how long do you think you'll be able to last?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think that. I think I'd be pretty good, man, because Soto is a sniper, so pretty good shot. What I'm saying? Got some hands on him. As far as with your rations and all that stuff, survival skills. As a Navy SEAL, man, they are trained to endure some stuff, not just physically. Like their buzz training is not just physical; it's mental. I saw the SEALs that I spoke to. They're like, yeah, you got a lot of big guys, man, who can't do it because it's also about endurance. Yeah. And it's also mental. You know what I mean? They're getting in your head to make sure that you're able to survive in war with a very small group of guys with you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think Soto will be one of the last men standing. Yeah.
All right,
you can do it.
All right, so does it change if it turns to a robot apocalypse? So we talk about Terminator type of style stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how many hits they can take. Because with a zombie, you just bow, one tap to the head. With the robot, if they could take a few taps, man, you might run out of bullets. You know what I'm saying? You could try to sock a robot if you want to, but that might be the last thing you do.
Right, because when we talk about it on the podcast, I often say like, all right, do we have anybody trying to hack the system? Because the robot apocalypse don't stop until you take down the system, until you take down Skynet. Like, so it's like, that changes survival rate.
Oh yeah, exactly. But I mean, Soto might be cool in that aspect too, because he's a smart guy. He wouldn't have made it to the level that he did if he was just like a typical guy. And your mind is what you lead with. That's your strongest muscle. And then you know what I'm saying, you go to your body and all that. Yeah.
All right. So with all the characters that you have played so far and everything, if you had to take two characters and turn them into a buddy cop movie, which characters would you choose?
Well, definitely Soto, because he's so like, you know what I'm saying, by the book and everything. Maybe Soto. And there's another cat that I played. I think his name is Rodney Jenkins on For the People.
Okay.
So it'll be two brothers. One is super by the book. One is not so much, because Rodney ended up in jail for selling some illegal cigarettes. So I think it'd be fun to put those two together and see what they get up to. Because it's two people who are just so different.
Okay.
So different, yeah.
All right, so as we wrap up, we got two segments, last segments. So the first one we call top fives. I'm gonna ask you, for you, what are your top 5 films?
My top 5 films, man.
And it doesn't have to be in order.
I'm about to say
it's make it easier.
It's hard to rank them, man.
Yeah.
I would have to say definitely Pursuit of Happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, because that's it's an inspirational joint. I got to pick one from Denzel. Training Day will probably be one of them. Another one would be Shutter Island with DiCaprio.
Yeah.
You talked about like with Denzel.
Yeah.
I'm with him to the end, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm watching Shutter Island, and I'm like, Leo, you got to get out of there, man. They're tricking you. They're trying to keep you there, man. I literally believed him, like until like it was almost over, man.
Yeah.
Let's see, another one. I love the type of gangster kind of films like Guy Ritchie, like the European type of gangsters like Rock and Roller, stuff like that. Just a lot of action. Snatch. So you got Brad Pitt in that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, man, I guess I got to go back to the Cautionary Tale. So it might be a draw between Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society. Because Menace to Society, I was watching that joint like so many times, man. I could quote it, me and my boys, like, when you walk up to your boy, like, hey, homie.
Yeah.
I heard you was dissing my cousin. Like, how brothers always do that. You know what I mean? So we like, hey, man, so we supposed to fight over it. So maybe Menace to Society, man, because I feel like that was just such a really raw look at something that really happens. And, obviously everybody's seen that one, but, the main dude, it's like in Boys in the Hood, main dude, he makes it out.
Yeah.
In society.
Yeah.
And that's was real, and in those last moments, he was like, my grandfather asked me if I live or die, if I care whether I live or die. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Now it's too late. And those words stick with you, you know what I'm saying? Because this ain't a movie, man. It's, they yell cut on that. That was it. In real life, man, that's it. That's a lot of people's stories. So that would probably be, those are my top 5 films.
All right. So I'm going to take you back to your childhood real quick with another top 5. Top 5 video games that you've played. Yeah. Again, it doesn't have to be in order, but
Okay. It's funny because that's what my mom did. She got me the the video games to keep my mind occupied when it was just me and her. Duck Hunt, first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Mario. Actually, Navy SEAL SOCOM. I used to play that joint.
That was
back in the day.
That was a good one.
Star Fox. Me and my boys used to get down on that, and of course 007.
007.
Proximity Mines.
Yeah. I used to love that because I used to put them on the doors. So like when the doors go, so as soon as you try to walk through the door, hit you already. Yeah, that was my thing.
Bro, I used to walk by somebody, slap them, and then like put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Shake them, boom. You know what I'm saying? And just, run by, dumping on people. It's, so probably 007 was my favorite one out of all of them. But yeah, those are my top 5 video games, man. All right. You know what? Dang, I gotta add Grand Theft Auto, man.
Oh yeah.
Because what was that? I haven't been hitting the sticks too much lately, but which one was it with San Andreas?
Well, that's your culture. That's where you from.
Bro, I think I beat that game. I think in like
you was about to call it
4 days.
You was about to call it.
I was calling it a movie. Yeah, CJ.
How good it is. That's how good it is.
Yeah, it felt like a movie. Right. My CJ was swole, so
of course.
I felt like I beat it in like 4 days or something, man. Like I don't know how. Yeah, I was just on that joint, man. Yeah. So yeah, those are my top ones.
Yeah, San Andreas is one of my favorite as well. It's because like I'm based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but like again, like Cali culture, it is very, very entertaining, not in like a negative way, but it's just so dope, kind of like New York culture. It's kind of like Atlanta culture, right? So it's like not being from there, but being able to like, okay, this game. To me, from the outside looking in, I'm like, this got to be how Cali was in the early '90s, because this is exactly how I imagined it to be, and so that was pretty dope, man.
Yeah, it was, man. I love that game, man. I love the Grand Theft Auto joints, but that one was my top one, man. It was good stuff.
All right, last segment. So it's recommendation. It can be something that you're watching, you're reading, you're listening to, but something that you think our viewers and listeners should get into.
That's good. Man, the first thing that comes to mind for me, man, is this book that I'm reading again. It's actually called Think and Grow Rich. It's been around for a while. I think 1920s or something like that. Napoleon Hill wrote it. The book I read before that was called The Magic of Thinking Big, or something like that. So you see, I'm very big on like the mind and things like that. But what I love about Think and Grow Rich, man, it's just about strategy. It's about having your goals, writing them down, having them in front of you, and just revisiting them time and time again throughout the day. And so it's not the magic stuff about it that I like. It's what's practical. Because if your goals are in front of you all the time, it's going to dictate what you do and what you think about and the kind of conversations that you have. Yeah. That's something that you're going to do subconsciously. So if I say I want to get in shape or whatever, and I keep putting that goal in front of me, keep reading it before I go to bed, when I get up in the morning, eventually it's going to start to dictate what I eat, what I drink, when I eat, how many times I go to the gym. It just really motivates you towards your goals. So that would be probably the book that I would recommend. But a TV show that I saw that I like, man, is a show called Evil. I don't know if you heard of it. They just got a second season coming out from CBS. Mm-hmm. And what I like about that is you got a dude who's studying to be a priest. You got like a techie guy who geek. And then you got a lady who's like a forensic psychologist. Yeah, you heard about that one?
Old boy from Luke Cage is in it. That's why.
That's the dude. That's the main dude. Great actors, but I love stuff that deals with religion. And I love that show looks at things from different perspectives and you see how they start to meet, So that's one of the shows that I kind of, was kind of digging. Besides people watching Jupiter's Legacy and SEAL Team, of course. Run
Jupiter's Legacy back a couple of times.
Yeah, just, you know what I'm saying? You didn't even got to be in the house. Just let it run.
Right. All right, man. Where can my people find you at, man?
On all social media, I am at Mike Wade Actor. social, as far as what I use the most is definitely Instagram. I'm not so active on there, but I definitely respond to people and all that. That'll link them to my website, mikewade.com, and they can find out a little bit more about me, see some of the stuff I've done, what I'm about. Yeah, that's it right there.
Well, look, this has definitely been a true blessing, man. I do appreciate your time and you taking the time to speak with us, man. And
yeah,
the only place to blend hip hop culture and geek culture together, and we are out.
You like that video? Man, thank you for watching. The notification bell so that way you can always be notified anytime we release a new video. You already know how Geekset get down. We got so much coming for y'all, man. Check it out. Stay in tune.